All right, so this presentation is really about asking questions, listening, and behavior. But it sounded better, S integration, so I just found 3 words that reflect surveys for asking questions, but you can do it with focus groups. Social for listening, but you can listen in other ways. And sales for behavior, but there is other behavior that you can track. And some people call this integration the holy grail in marketing research. I think Charlotte, she's not here, from Aegis Dentsu earlier said the 360 view of the consumer. It is easier said than done. Let me put it this way. So I'll start by describing the S framework. And I'll focus a little more on AI because it's the new kid on the block, a little more on social media listening and analytics, analyzing big data and all that. Then we'll have a case study from, and we chose it's a social media listening integration to surveys and sales from a Nielsen report. We have some interesting results there. Then a few more integration examples from different sectors, and finish off with some conclusions. In the world of big data, accuracy is, in our view, the most important element of this whole thing, because without it, and I know it sounds like an obvious thing, but it's not. When you're dealing with 40 million posts in Mandarin, and you have no idea what these posts are about, then you have to trust that your AI, the machine learning algorithms, and whatever other natural language processing tools you use will deliver something that you can believe in. And if you don't have this assurance that the data you're looking at on this beautiful dashboard, because you may know it, there are about 1,000 social media monitoring tools out there. And they all have beautiful dashboards, right? And we tend to look at a beautiful dashboard and say, well, it must be true. It's on a dashboard from a well-respected company. Well, it's not. The accuracy of these things is less than 50%. It's worse than the flip of a coin. And so if we don't pay attention, we get the proverbial garbage in, garbage out. So what do we do with AI? What are the possibilities, and how do we use it? So we can eliminate noise, because there's a lot of noise in social media when you harvest posts, and I'll show you an example. You can do semantic analysis, so to know what are they talking about on social media, or what is this body of text about, because it doesn't, this technology does not necessarily need to be applied on social media. You can apply it on a book, if you like. Take a book in Japanese, throw an algorithm at it, and it will give you a nice report on a dashboard about the topics and the sentiment and the emotions and whatever your AI is taught to do. You can do sentiment analysis or specific emotions, and the latest is computer vision. You can have a machine tell you what thousands of images are about. So here's how we set up a big data analytics projects for high accuracy. We first need to create a harvest query from social media and then eliminate the noise, like I said, the irrelevant posts, and I'll show you a few examples of those. And then we need to train, or we can. There are many ways to do it, but the way we do it is we train a machine learning algorithm to understand sentiment or emotions in a certain language, and we create a taxonomy for semantic analysis. Then we push all the millions of posts through this technology, and the posts come out annotated for sentiment, emotions, and topics. And then we can test the accuracy by giving a random sample of these posts to a human who can then see if they agree with the result. The downside of this approach is that it takes 3 weeks to set up. Other than that, once it's set up, it is fully automated. Now, here is a controversial slide for you, and I know there are a couple of colleagues from Kantar in the room. And this is about surveys and a certain type of surveys. There are people in our industry who feel that they are really boring and they are not adequate, and that short intercepts would be a better idea. A lengthy survey is time-consuming and it doesn't deliver. It's unreliable. It depends on people's memory, if you are asking them what they bought a month ago. And so there is this view out there. I'm not saying surveys will go away or they have to go away. I'm not saying they are all bad, but many of them are, and we need to pay attention to this. And so now entering the space of integration, which is the purpose of this talk. The integration of social media listening and behavioral data with surveys may be a way to also verify the quality of the surveys, but certainly it is a way to enhance our insight generation process. And so the way to do this is there is a way to mirror what's in the surveys on the social listening side by creating a semantic analysis tool that contains all the questions that are asked in the survey. Then you have the Nielsen reports for sales, you have the IMS reports if you are in the healthcare sector, and you can bring those in. And in order to connect the sales to the social listening, all you need to do is harvest the social media posts using the brands of the product category as keywords. And then you can, of course, you can discover new topics from social that you're not asking in your surveys, and hopefully you will be able to produce some correlation between the metrics from all these different sources. So here is an example of how granular one can analyze topics in a medium like this. So you're looking at the most popular topic among all these topics here for the product category beer in this case was closeness. And closeness is a topic that came to be because it was part of the brand tracker. So the client wanted to know how people felt about brands, what is the emotional connection, and so on. And so the way to connect and integrate social media listening with a brand tracking survey, which is what this is about, is to mirror the taxonomy that is used for social media listening analytics with the questions that are asked in the survey. And you can see that there is some granularity to be had as well. So closeness breaks down into subtopics like occasions and preference and connection, and then occasions break down into occasions by time, so when people were drinking beer and what sport they were watching and so on. So you see that there is a lot of flexibility to replicate on social media what's in the survey. A sidebar is that you can do more than just sentiment. You can look at specific emotions. You're looking here at 7 pairs of opposite emotions like love and hate and joy and sadness. And like I said earlier, the latest is that you can also analyze images and know what they are about. So if you have a smartphone with you, you can access the Captioning.com, take a picture or upload or use a picture that you already have and check out what this AI will think your image is about. Take into account that this AI is as old as my granddaughter. She's about 6. We think of it as a boy, a 6-month-old boy. So its accuracy is 68% at the moment. So whatever image you will upload to the image captioner, it will give you a caption. And if you don't agree with it, you just give it 3 stars or less. and then enter the caption you think is right, and that's how you will teach the AI to be better next time. That's how these things work. There is one extreme statement by a heavy user of market research on the client side. That's a global insights director of Heineken. And he said, I believe that today, given the rapid advancement of capabilities, we should only resort to surveys. I do not represent this position, let me say that. If we cannot find the answer in social listening or behavioral tracking data. I just wanted to show you that some people are on the other extreme. What we are saying is we should try and integrate asking questions to listening and behavior. All right, the case study. I chose one from a different language. So we did a survey about health and wellness, not a survey, a social media monitor about health and wellness in Arabic in the Gulf. And we harvested data from Twitter videos, news, blogs, and forums for 6 months. And we used 80 keywords that related to health. That looked a little bit like that. So I referenced noise elimination earlier and said that it's tough. This is what this means. There's a problem called homonyms. A homonym is a word that is spelled the same as the word you're interested in, but it means something else. In this data set, people were talking, so we wanted to harvest posts about vitamins, and people were talking about vitamin N for their children, and they meant you have to sometimes tell your children no, and that they refer to that as vitamin N. That was noise, and it needed to be excluded, but how do you know? You know, there were 5.3 million posts. How will you know what to exclude and what not? Here's an example closer to where we are. The brand Bex, there is David Beckham. People refer to him as Bex. And then there is this other guy that I didn't know of. He's a singer. I don't know if anybody knows him. His name is Bex Hansen. Do you know him? You should check your head. I didn't know him. So this proves to us that only by doing an iterative cleaning of the data will get us to not have garbage in, garbage out. So when we completed the cleaning, in this case, it wasn't too noisy, so only 27% was noise. So we ended up with 3.9 million posts about health and wellness. And here are some topics that people talk about. A little quiz for the room. That's in the Arab Gulf, remember? And you see the main topics, health, sleeping, self-help, men's health, fitness, and so on. Which topic do you guys think was the most popular topic in the Gulf region? Which one? Mental. That's absolutely right. 1 million posts out of 4 was about mental health. I thought it was going to be fitness, but it's only 18,000 posts. So that's just to show you the granularity that a taxonomy that I was showing earlier to you allows. So now back to the integration, which is the main subject. So we took all this data about health and wellness, and we looked for product categories that Nielsen covers. We did this with Nielsen, by the way. So we found 7 product categories that were covered by the retail audit reports of Nielsen. Then we looked at what brand health trackers they had in the region. Out of these 7 categories, they had 2 product categories that they were tracking with a survey, cooking oil and tea. Okay, so we now had, it wasn't planned to be an integration project, but we were able to find ways to integrate social with surveys, with sales data from Nielsen. And this is what we found out. So firstly, a very simple way of integrating is the visual correlation. So you have the 6 months. The green line is positive sentiment from social, and the purple line is sales from the Nielsen report for cooking oil. It looks quite, similar. But then when we did a regression analysis, which is now scientific, not just visual, between the sales of these 7 product categories and the sentiment from social media, we found an R-square of 0.81, which is very high correlation, so 81% positive correlation. And the beta coefficient was twice as high for positive sentiment compared to negative, which means that positive sentiment drives sales in that region for those 7 product categories twice as much as negative. Social with survey also looks fine when you look at the visual lines. Now, a few more examples from other categories. Telecommunications. The red line is Net Promoter Score from a survey, monthly NPS. So look at September to October, it goes up, the red line, and then October to November down. The purple line at the bottom is Net Sentiment Score from social. September to October goes up, October to November goes down. So, okay, fine. That's not the goal is not to discover correlation. The goal is to discover what works and what doesn't. But what's interesting here is the green line, which is weekly net sentiment score. And look at this peak there, the 32, minus 32. That is a predictor of the NPS going up a week later. So if you are in telecoms and you give bonuses to your people based on the NPS every month, then it's helpful to know a week or 2 earlier where your NPS will end up being. Second example is from the restaurants business. Here you see this was a survey. Oh, by the way, the survey was done by TNS on the previous chart in the Netherlands. On this chart, the survey was done by Ipsos and the social by us. The light blue is net satisfaction score for overall satisfaction in this restaurant chain and meals in general. And then the blues are from social. In this case, we see a very, very almost perfect correlation. Last slide before the conclusion. Another way to integrate is to combine the listening with the asking questions. So imagine having an online community of people that are relevant to you and listening to what they say online. A good way to create a virtuous circle would be to listen, and then if you don't understand something, probe in the community, and then listen some more, improve your monitor and probe. Another way is to recruit people in the community based on what they say on listening, based on their opinions. And the third way to integrate is to have the people in the community co-create digital content, and then they share it with their networks online. In closing, I think there is enough proof that social media listening correlates with retail sales, at least in the FMCG sector. It can be integrated with survey data. We saw the examples. I think in none of those examples did we focus on getting the integration right. They were all pilots and proofs of concepts. And so if we do want to get the integration right, 2 main things: harvest for the brands in social, and then create a taxonomy that reflects what is asked in the survey. And then finally, the benefits of integration is that we have the holistic view of the consumer. We get synthesized insights from multiple sources, and that gives us truly unique insights. It can be an early indicator of sales, if we get 3 sources to answer the same question, this gives a lot more confidence to the executive board and the CEO of your company in the customer insights process. Thank you.